Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaking to the motion.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, the governor's vetoed this bill to ensure that local governments retain the authority and autonomy to make decisions themselves about how to allocate limited resources, as well as protect community police relations. This bill imposes an unnecessary and divisive requirement upon localities requiring the enforcement of federal immigration laws. Currently, localities have the discretion to determine whether they will expend resources to enter into a voluntary, let me repeat that, voluntary agreement with the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. This legislation would strip localities of that autonomy and force them to divert money and manpower away from their core public safety functions. Going directly to what the gentleman mentioned, this bill would send a clear message to people across the Commonwealth that state and local law enforcement officials are to be feared and avoided rather than trusted and engaged. These policies and orders encourage people to report crimes to the police that we have, regardless of their legal status. Let me repeat that. These policies and orders encourage people to report crimes to the police regardless of their legal status. This bill goes the opposite direction and could be interpreted by local law enforcement to bar adoption of such policies locally. A recent University of Illinois study found that 45% of immigrants, documented and undocumented, were less likely to report a crime as a result of increased involvement of local police in immigration enforcement. More alarming, and I mentioned this before, in just the first 8 months of last year, in Arlington County, immigrant communities have seen a drop of 75% in reports of domestic violence and an 85% drop in the reports of sexual violence. The fear in my community and across the Commonwealth is real. Immigrants are avoiding police for fear that their contact might lead to deportation of a loved one. Not only will immigrants be afraid to report crimes as witnesses or victims, or coordinate with police and prosecutors in helping to solve crimes, their fear of doing so will make them easy targets for crime from gangs and bad actors who prey on them. In effect, this legislation makes our communities less safe by stoking irrational fears of immigrants and undermining the community police relations that we value and that are essential to true public safety. I hope it's the will of the body to sustain the governor's veto and vote no.